All right, all right, all right. Week 5 in CIT82 Intro to Web Development. This week, we start another major topic, which is Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap, right? Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. I hate that old saying, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. I don't know why every time I say bootstrap, I think of that, even though I don't like the saying, whatever. So Bootstrap is a framework. So what is a framework? So when last week you were writing the HTML and CSS and all the components that you wanted to include based on what you've learned, you had to create those things completely through HTML and style them with CSS. So Bootstrap is written as and this is a term maybe you've heard called open source, where a group of people got together, and often they can come out of a private industry, and our private company may have employees that also help with it, but oftentimes it's contributed by all kinds of people. And you might wonder, why do people do that? It's like, and it's a mentality that if you the longer you're around development, software development, you'll learn about the amazing things that get created by just people who have an interest to give back. And it's kind of a trip when you think about it, because I don't think we think of people as being altruistic, but they really are. Or at least on the web, we have examples of this. Obviously, we have examples of people who are not altruistic and are more greedy. And boy, could I talk about them forever. But why? Really, why would I give that any energy? But I just want you to know, because many people who are in this field, right? And you're starting, I'm guessing this is where you want to learn more and more for whatever extent you want to learn it. You'll hear more and more about software that is offered up free. Okay, so you're going to be using Bootstrap, which is a framework, which is completely free to you. Now, what does it cost you? It actually does cost you something, but not monetarily, not money wise. So when you add Bootstrap to your page, what you will do, and you'll learn this term, I'll talk about it in the Monday Night Item, we'll do a CDN, a content delivery network. So instead of loading all that Bootstrap code on your computer, you can just reference it out on the web. And that's a great way to do it. And thank you that we can do it, because it makes adding Bootstrap to your page so simple. Okay, but here's what it costs you from your page perspective. It's gonna increase your load time. Now, the cool thing about Bootstrap 5, which is the version you're going to be learning for this section and for this class, is that and I think we're on Bootstrap 5.3. I'll look at that in a minute. 5.3, semantic versioning, something you're also going to get in this week. Semantic versioning is like, what do these 5.3, what does that mean, right? So what's great, well, okay, let me finish my thought before I keep going. So what does Bootstrap cost you is load time. And that's why it's important to understand that the more things you kind of outsource to the web, and Bootstrap is great in the respect that the latest version doesn't use some of what we call bloat. Bloat are just like the bloat that it used to be in Bootstrap was jQuery. jQuery was a framework, another framework written again for free, for you to have free of monetary cost, to add into your page to make it easier, quicker for you to write JavaScript. But what we found over time was that the cost of jQuery didn't justify it, because JavaScript got better and better. And so what's cool about Bootstrap 5 is that it is a new version that's taking advantage of some of the new things that have evolved over time and gotten rid of some of the unproductive things like jQuery that is becoming kind of I want to say out of fashion. There's a word we use in web development called deprecated. It's not completely gone. It's definitely still around. I see it once in a while when I'm working with somebody and they have jQuery, and I'm like, why do you have jQuery? And they don't often know why, which is a problem. So what it costs you is load time. But Bootstrap 5 is going to be faster, which is great. Okay. So this week we move into this. We also get to talk about your project zero. So for this class, 25% of your grade comes from creating a website. We've already the URL for GitHub.io. That's the page's site is what you're going to be using to publish that. I'll give you an overview of the requirements. I rewrote them for this particular version, this particular time in the class because I've been using those requirements and I realized I kind of plugged some different holes and probably rewriting it, I've missed some things. So you'll give me feedback on that. So anyway, this week you're really going to be, and this is kind of what I was trying to, as I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you about and what I want you to reply with, is one thing is you're really going to be doing some coding this week. And you might say, I've already been doing some coding. Yes, you have. But what you end up doing in part one and part two of and it's not a crash course, it's actually called a boot camp, I think. But it doesn't matter, is that you write a lot of code. And it really makes you focus. So my question for you is how do you what's your best focus? Like what is it you can do to set yourself up for being the most focused? I'll give you my answer, okay? Here's my answer is I work out, I sleep well, I eat well, okay? I meditate. And these things when I do them and I try to do them daily, okay? I'm mostly successful. When I'm not, I feel it. If I don't eat well, man, I feel it. If I don't exercise, okay, I need recovery days. So once in a while I take them. I still walk to work. Now, I know that I live a life that I've set up to be this way, and not everybody has. But I want you to think about, because as you move into this week, you're really going to need focus. Okay. What is it you can do to set yourself up to be the most focused, right? Or what's the situation that helps you do that, right? Is it coffee? Some people say it's coffee. Is it a part of the day? Is it after something else? Probably for parents, it's like once the kids go to school or once they're whatever. It's like having a quiet space to do that, using earphones, having a room, having my technology, whatever it is. In your reply, I want you to tell me, what is it that allows you, what situation can you create that gives you the most opportunity to focus because you're going to want to this week? Okay. All right. So just as a quick, just talking a little bit about Bootstrap, since you're going to be doing it this week, just search for Bootstrap 5. Bootstrap 5, the first link should be Get Bootstrap. Then this is where I'll talk about CDNs, content delivery networks, and learning more about the easy way we can leverage CDNs to, instead of having this whole CSS file, this min here is minified, which means we removes the spaces. So instead of having to have that whole file on your computer, you get to just reference it out on the web. And you see this kind of pattern, this what we might call a design pattern of referencing things versus having them on your computer a lot. And you'll see 3 or 4 versions in this week's work as well. So just know that CDN, that's what it means. You can load it. I just don't recommend loading it because it's just you're going to need it in various places for this class. So why do it? And I just wanted you to have that as well. So I talked about last week. Oh, by the way, I cover this in the first video about using Emmet and the importance of learning, because man, in your lecture / code alongs, because I generally call them lectures, but they're at this point code alongs because you're coding along with whoever we have for that week. Next week, we actually don't do a code along. We actually are going to do some project-based work to get you working on your project 0, which is cool. But last week in one of the videos, I made an offer about fixing embedded images. So here's the deadline. You have to have done it by this Monday of start of week 5 and told me. So that's the key, is you have to have fixed it and asked me to update it, because I'm not going to go through everybody's work. You'll need to reach out to me and say, hey, Rio, I fixed that. Please go back and review that grade. And I'll be happy to do it. Right. So remember what I wanted for the reply is how do you set yourself up to be focused? All right. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.